For the last 2 years, CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077 have both been in a chaotic state, to say at the very least. Lots of controversy, lots of problems, much of which I've documented extensively on this channel. But now the game is starting to turn it around. Obviously, I think some people will say it's too little too late. A lot of people, I know I see this in every comment section I make a video on this game, there's a lot of people that are still very upset with CDPR, with how they went about this game's development and the marketing for this experience. None of that is forgotten. We all will remember that for the next number of years. Whenever The Witcher 4 comes about, there's going to be that skepticism. But even for myself, who has experienced all of these issues and have been very critical of CDPR, I think I can admit this game is in a good to decent state now. My main issues were the jank. I obviously still enjoyed Cyberpunk 2077 since day one. I've been firm on that stance for a long time at this point. But there are obviously clear issues with this experience. Not necessarily in regards to jank, but the artificial intelligence and the lack of interactivity within Night City, which makes the world feel very not alive. But CDPR for the last year or so has been working to fix that, and it seems like with Phantom Liberty, the first and only expansion coming for the game, we're going to see the game take another giant leap forward, and CDPR hopefully will end this experience on a high note as they move on to The Witcher 4, and then probably in a number of years, maybe we'll get Cyberpunk 2084. But right now, Cyberpunk 2077 is experiencing a resurgence, and that is largely thanks to the Edgerunners Netflix series. In a similar vein to Netflix's Witcher series, which obviously isn't based on the games but the books, it still had a major effect on The Witcher 3's player count and the amount of people that decided to go check out the Witcher games made by CD Projekt Red. And now CDPR is once again feeling that with Cyberpunk, as the game's player base has skyrocketed in the last couple of days. And that isn't necessarily just in regards to how awesome the Edgerunners series is, but also because of the new content additions that came with the recent patch 1.6 update. And then obviously in 2023, before Phantom Liberty, we should be having some awesome quality of life improvements, which includes vehicle-to-vehicle combat, as well as, again, another overhaul to the police system. So yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 has had quite the transformation since its disastrous December 2020 release. But you will have to allow me to gush over the Cyberpunk Edgerunners Netflix anime series for at least a second or two, because this collaboration between Studio Trigger and CD Projekt Red is absolutely excellent. It uses the in-game assets in a way that I've never seen, and it's an interesting adaptation because it's so different, and I definitely think that is one of the better video game adaptations that we've ever seen. I'd say that Netflix, at least in those regards with the anime series, have been knocking it out of the ballpark the last couple of years. Arcane last year was also absolutely phenomenal, and Edgerunners, what I love is that it enhances the Cyberpunk universe, and all of the locations that you experience in the game are in this anime series. Pinpoint, they do not change anything. That's what makes it so great when you return back to Night City after watching the series, and you return to these locations that have a new meaning. It feels iconic, it feels nostalgic, and it also makes me want to see some of these characters within this anime series make their way to Cyberpunk 2077 or future games, just because of how developed and how invested I got into them. Because after watching this Edgerunners anime series, I apologize to Judy and Panam, but you gotta move over for the new best Cyberpunk girls, and that is definitely Lucy and Rebecca. I made these remarks on Twitter a couple days ago, but one thing that Edgerunners made me think about is the fact that that storyline is kind of what I envisioned Cyberpunk 2077 was going to be. That's what I thought was going to be V's journey. The way that David Martinez develops through this series as he becomes more robot than man, and he feels the consequences from those actions, that's entirely what I envisioned V's journey to be. But even though I did like Cyberpunk 2077's story, I do think that Edgerunners is more faithful to what Cyberpunk is all about. Essentially, David Martinez has a more fleshed out, natural arc, and with V, it's just a constant race, start to finish. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that CDPR made was just with the entire Jackie Wells storyline. Those first number of hours, we really needed to flesh out that character of V and have him experience his time with Jackie. And it also doesn't help the fact that they kind of spoiled his death within the marketing of the game before launch. That is something that probably should have came as a surprise, but if we had not had that montage scene and we got all of those scenes and we got to experience more of V and Jackie, I think the opinion on Cyberpunk's story would be more positive from the overall community surrounding this game. But even so, as I pointed out earlier, the Edgerunners series does a lot of things that expands upon the Cyberpunk universe. You really feel the cruelty of the day-to-day life, and you also experience Adam Smasher. He truly feels like a brute force that is unstoppable with this anime series, which is a little different than that pretty easy boss fight that we have towards the end of Cyberpunk 2077, but that is largely because of the balance issues that the game suffered around launch. So yeah, the intense action scenes, fantastic soundtrack, awesome memorable characters such as Maine and Rebecca, and a storyline that only gets better and better as the show goes on. I highly recommend Edgerunners. It is indeed a cautionary tale, one that shows how unforgiving Night City can be, with nobody being safe from being sent to the crematorium, no matter how much eddies you accumulate. Edgerunners is also very adult, especially with some very raunchy scenes. Definitely not for kids, but this show is an emotional roller coaster, with the relationship of Lucy and David being at the center. Lucy is a titan of a netrunner and David a super cyber-enhanced merc. You feel how deeply flawed each of these individuals are with the mistakes they make, some of which is foreshadowed through other characters, but the care and yes, love they have for each other is on full display to the very end. So watch this if you haven't, especially the dub, which has a lot of great voice talent, including Giancarlo Esposito portraying a fixer in Night City. Good stuff. Unfortunately, my admiration for this show is something that everyone is sharing after they watch this, as currently on Rotten Tomatoes there's 10 critic reviews with an average rating of 8.8 out of 10, and it currently sits at a 100%. And then the audience score is a 97 out of 100% with an average rating of 4.8 out of 5 stars based off of over 667 reviews thus far. Besides just reviews, this is also something that has become extremely popular on Netflix, as it broke the top 5 most watched shows just the other day. And interestingly, a CD Projekt Red developer responded to all of this admiration and love for the series, saying, "It's pretty crazy and unexpected for me personally. It's an anime which is already alienating for a lot of people. It's based on a game set in Cyberpunk, also rather niche. I expected it to be liked by a specific group of people, but the appeal seems to be much broader." And this is a sentiment that's being shared by all of his colleagues at CD Projekt Red. Even the Cyberpunk creator himself, Mike Pondsmith, took to Reddit gushing over this new series. We also have articles like this popping up from PC Gamer saying, "Welp, the Cyberpunk 2077 anime made me want to give the game another shot." And this writer was not alone, as it looks like over 68,000 others decided the same thing just the other day. This is the largest peak player count the game has reached since, I think, the debut month the game came out. And just a quick update on those numbers, they are continuing to rise rapidly, as on Steam, the 24-hour peak now stands at 86,000 concurrent players, and also CD Projekt Red themselves have revealed that each day of the week, Night City has been visited by 1 million players, both new and returning. What we are witnessing isn't a slight increase, this is a major comeback, a major resurgence for this game and the future of this franchise. And obviously the people returning to the game isn't just because of this anime, it's also because the game has changed a lot since December of 2020. You can see on the Steam ratings that the perception about Cyberpunk 2077 has changed quite a bit. The review consensus at launch was very mixed, and now within the last couple of months it has gone from being mixed to very positive, with I think about 85% of the ratings being positive reviews for the game on Steam. As I've said in previous videos, the modding community also factors heavily into this, with some jaw-dropping additions being delivered recently. And with CDPR releasing official mod tools with patch 1.6, there should be even more exciting things on the horizon. But for those who have not touched this game since launch or just haven't bothered to jump in yet, here's a brief overview of what has come in terms of post-launch support thus far. New Edgerunners themed content. There's a new side mission which allows V to gain David Martinez's iconic jacket, and some other Edgerunners Easter eggs scattered about Night City, such as Rebecca's shotgun being obtainable in City Center. A couple of new gigs which are short but provide some unique gameplay situations. There are a number of apartments that can be purchased, each with their own unique style that fits the area it's located in. Appearance customization has been added, with you able to change some features at a mirror and almost everything at a Ripper dock. You can preview clothes now before purchasing at shops. Transmog has been added, allowing you to truly immerse yourself in the style style of your very own V, while not having to worry about the stats of the clothes that you have on. There's a ton of new photo mode poses, a fun little arcade minigame, various new jackets and pieces of clothing, a bunch of new power, tech, smart, blunt, and melee weapons. A personal favorite of mine is the Senko LX, a tech submachine gun that I absolutely adore, a variety of new weapon attachments such as muzzle brakes and scopes. CDPR reworked various weapons, adding new unique effects. The 05 sniper rifle feels like a giant cannon now, while the Divided We Stand assault rifle has bullets that are more likely to miss now, but turn into biohazard clouds that poison nearby enemies. Vehicle controls and mechanics were overhauled, various perks have been altered and or added to further complement different playstyles. With patch 1.5 specifically, CDPR delivered a massive gameplay overhaul to various systems, such as clothing mods to better balance the experience. The UI has seen a number of additions, making traveling around Night City easier. One example would be using the in-game minimap when traveling by vehicle is now zoomed out. The overall AI has seen a drastic improvement, with vehicles and NPCs having smarter reactions to our actions. Our romances have been extended with further messages and images being sent from our love interest. We also now can sleep in bed with our given partner. Fixers now reward V with a special reward after completing all of their gigs. Water effects have been added, weather systems improved with rain, fog, sandstorms occurring more often. The optical camo cyberware was added, a personal favorite of mine, allowing my V to go invisible for a short time during combat. Then of course the performance and visual fidelity has been greatly enhanced over time, with new ray tracing effects being implemented and thousands upon thousands of bugs being fixed. Besides all of that, there are a number of other smaller additions and quality of life improvements, such as new hairstyles, being able to easily reset your perks with eddies, obtaining your very own iguana, nibbles moving around your apartment, being able to change your motorbike's neon rim color, a cross progression cloud save feature added in, a benchmark mode for PC players, the ability to craft in bulk, new melee takedown and equip animations, new random interactions that occur as you traverse through the world, and many more things I'm quite frankly forgetting. So a lot has indeed changed from day one to now with Night City. Obviously, for many returning players or those who already experienced much of what Night City had to offer at launch, this isn't necessarily going to transform this game into something completely different or new, but what CDPR has delivered on is expanding upon the base game experience in a variety of different ways that make multiple playthroughs more enjoyable. And again, for those new players, it's a night and day difference between version 1.6 of the game and the day one version, especially on console. For those who have not checked out this game since its messy launch and are waiting for the big story DLC Phantom Liberty, this game will feel very different in a good way. And again, it will only get better before then, as CDPR announced a few weeks ago that future updates only coming to current gen consoles will introduce new cyberware, a new gameplay loop for melee, new actions in the perk tree, a vehicle-to-vehicle combat feature, and a complete overhaul to the police system that previously got a rather lackluster and small overhaul right after launch. All of this likely will come about in early 2023, assuming Phantom Liberty launches in the middle part of the year. Additionally, for PC players, Nvidia and CD Projekt Red announced just the other day a new ray tracing overdrive mode is coming to the game, along with up to 4 times performance increase with Nvidia's upcoming launch of DLSS 3. And specifically in regards to Phantom Liberty, the only expansion coming to the game, it's going to be taking us into the combat zone, a new district in Pacifica set before the game's endings. Based on prior leaks, a new major character, Songbird, will persuade us into visiting the combat zone, which is controlled by a militia, with corporations and the NCPD staying away. As shown in the teaser trailer, Songbird appears as a hologram in our head, and she leads us to the exact location in which a flying ship carrying the president of the new USA crashes inside of the zone. And it definitely seems like this expansion is going to have an escape from New York vibe to at least some of it. I say some as CDPR has called the expansion a spy thriller, which does again align with the contents of the leak that came earlier this year. Again, I'm not going to be diving into any of the spoilers with that, but regardless, we will have new major characters, new quests, gigs, street stories, world encounters, activities, weapons, cyberware, outfits, and more. Maybe even by then we'll see the addition of New Game Plus, although CDPR's developers have indicated that they're having some major issues with bringing that to the experience. Now, even though Keanu Reeves is returning as Johnny Silverhand in the DLC, it does seem like his role will be small, with an in-game reason being presented for why that is. The completion of this expansion will also seemingly provide provide some changes made to the game's endings for RV. So definitely a nice big finale for Cyberpunk 2077 is on the horizon, but for now the game is enjoying a comeback, one that did not seem possible 20 months ago, but is happening now thanks to the game reaching a state that it probably should have launched in, as well as the kick-ass Edgerunners anime. Anyway, what is your opinion on everything happening with Cyberpunk right now? I do hope that we see an Edgerunners Season 2, maybe it'd be a prequel or something else, but I really would love to see another collaboration with Studio Trigger and CDPR within this universe. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below and everything that we went over, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or if you found any informative value, and make sure to follow my other social media accounts for updates on new videos. Links are always down in the description below. I'm most active on Twitter giving opinions on news that I do not always get into video form, so do make sure to follow me over there. Also check out my Discord for all sorts of discussion on games, and again, thank you for joining. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.